A very warm and gracious evening to everyone gathered here. It is both a privilege and profound pleasure to welcome you all to this truly special occasion. On behalf of the Delhi School of Professional Studies and Research, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Senior Professor Ajay Kumar Singh sir and respected Director Professor Dr. Mahesh Sharma sir, our respected Registrar Dr. R.S. Singh sir, and esteemed guest speaker Mr. Gaurav Kaila sir, our dedicated faculty members, today's inspiring moderator Miss Garima ma'am, and of course my enthusiastic fellow learners. I am Atul, proudly representing the BBA batch of 2024 to 28, and I feel incredibly honored to stand before you at the 69th online interactive season hosted by DSPSR, a beacon of academic excellence, industry engagement, and holistic student development. At DSPSR, we are nurtured not just to study but to lead, to connect classroom concept with real world challenges. And today's theme, leadership development. It's is more than a topic, it's a mission we all share as future professionals and change makers. To begin this season with positively and purpose, let us now engage in a symbolic tradition, the lightning of the virtual lamp. This scared gesture signifies the triumph of knowledge over ignorance and set the tone for a journey filled with insight, inspiration, and growth. With this, I humbly invited Arun sir to kindly play the virtual lamp lightning video.
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा शुभं भवतु कल्याणम् आरोग्यं सुखसम्पदा शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते।
It gives me a immense pleasure to extend a warm and respectful welcome to distinguished professional and visionary leader, Mr. Gaurav Kaila sir. With over 17 years of rich experiments, Mr. Kaila sir has established himself a global authority in a sales enablement, go-to-market strategy, program transformation, and business insights. Currently serving as an associate director of KPMG Global Services, he has led functional global terms, driven large-scale business transformation, and spreaded initiatives that gave generated over $100 million in revenue impact. His journey from a research analyst to a key strategic leader exemplifies the power of perseverance, continuous learning, and powerful leadership. Mr. Kaila sir, expertise spans across stakeholder engagement, profession-driven customer success, and operational excellence, making him a role model for all aspiring professionals. An alumni of DSPSR from BBA batch of 2000-2003, he combines academic excellence with real-world impact. He contribute go beyond business metrics. He is known for mentoring talent, fostering innovation, and creating scalable solutions that drive sustainable growth. We are truly honored to him here today to share his journey insights and guidance, especially for a student at DSPSR who stand to gain immensely from his experience. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gaurav Kaila, sir.
We welcome you, sir. And Garima, now the session is over to you.
Hello and
We are
welcome to the today.
So you wanted to say something, or Miss Garima can continue?
Sorry, is
Garima
that
can
the
continue.
okay? Go ahead, Garima.
Thank you, sir. Hello and welcome to everyone to the today's special conversation. I'm truly excited to have with us a leader who has not only witnessed but also actively shaped, transformed, changed across global markets with over 17 years of experience. Mr. Gaurav Kalia, sir, we welcome you here, sir, who has led high impact instances in scale of investment, program and transformation, and strategic insights, creating measurable business outcomes on global scale, sir. Sir, thank you for joining us. Before we dive into professional achievements, I would like to rewind the clock a bit. So, looking over your 17 years of experience in corporate world, what would you like to have a what would you like to share with us a key turning point that shape your leadership style?
All right, Garima, thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for joining this session. I feel so honored and very much excited to come back to my alma mater to have a discussion with everyone who's there on the call. Atul, Garima, thank you so much for that warm welcome. And I really love the idea of lighting the virtual lamp. I think that is pretty much required. And I still remember my old days when I was part of DSPSR. We had this conference, and I think SHTR and DSPSR were operating out of the same building. And even when that event started, we had a lamp lighting. So I think it's quite auspicious. And I really hope it works really well for everyone who's there on the call and whosoever is part of the overall DSPSR family. Now, just small thing, just a correction. I'm no longer associated with KPMG as of now. I'm starting my own venture. Plans I cannot disclose right now. I hope you understand. But having said that, to answer your first question, Garima, what has been the key turning point? I think it's a very difficult question for me, to be very honest, because there have been multiple turning points if I see my overall journey in the corporate world. But having said that, I think there have been certain dominant values and traits that I've brought to the table, right? And I've lived by them, and those have been the, you can say, a lamp in the darkness to guide me through and throughout. Now, about a couple of years ago, I was part of a leadership development program, and there was this analysis done. It's known as Clifton Strength Assessment. Everyone has some or the other kind of dominant strength. And my values and strengths were mostly revolving around being restorative, which means continuous focus on innovating or improving certain things that are not working, or the overall value proposition can be enhanced. A developer, which means basically taking everyone with me, everyone in my team, taking them with me. I grow, they grow, I grow, that kind of a thing. And as well as, significance, which means having a view of the bigger picture. So I think these dominant trends are something that have helped me through and throughout my journey. And though these were values that I used to, you can say, cherish a lot, but those came out to be my dominant traits also while doing that kind of an analysis. So Key turning points, definitely whatever came my way, I worked on it. I gave my 100% to that, and something or the other kept coming up, and that's how I've grown organically. So my belief, in short, to end this entire rigmarole is that everyone has some or the other dominant strength, and if they play by that or the values that they believe in, I think it will take them places which they want to go, or at least be very successful in life after, let's say, couple of years, if you think back that this has been my journey.
That's it. So that was very enriching answer, if you really ask me, and very interactive. So you have a background in BBA and MBA, influencing your approach to strategic. Has that influence help you in approach to strategic planning and sales investment?
Oh, absolutely, Garima. I think that's a brilliant question, and I'll give you a small anecdote over here. So I was lucky enough to be part of DSPSR. I was the first second batch of BBA at DSPSR. And I had the opportunity to, study under some of the great professors. They were part of Delhi University. They were coming regularly to DSPSR. And I think the notes that I took during those sessions, I didn't even read the books, to be very honest. My focus was on reading case studies. Now, those notes have been repurposed time and again. I remember there was this university in India, and some of my friends were studying over there. So for their second year examination, I was the one guiding them on how to learn particular subject and actually teaching them those subjects. Statistical or research methodology, I remember clearly. So I've repurposed those notes. So that was the level of depth that notes had based on the sessions that were, taken up by esteemed professors at that point in time. Now, while I was doing my MBA, the same notes were repurposed for the first year in my MBA. I never ever read a book in my MBA. My only focus was again on reading case studies. So I think that base or the foundation that was laid while I was part of DSPSR and the notes that I took, you can say that, hey, maybe Gaurav, it's your interest in the academics that helped you out. Whatever is the way, but the way I see this is that the notes that I took formed a very good layer of foundation for me. And based on that foundation, whatever came my way, I think whether it's strategic thinking, strategic planning, or sales enablement, I think those things just happen naturally, especially in the areas of business research. I clearly remember I was part of a quiz. It was a KPMG wide quiz, and I was in the finals. There were a couple of questions that came in that particular quiz, and the answers, I remember, came from the very first business report I created while in my third semester at BBA. So nothing goes waste. Whatever I learned, I think I have been able to leverage. That gave me a very strong foundation during whatever I've done in my corporate life. I hope that helps.
Certainly, sir, most definitely. Those notes and everything it said is beyond, was beyond, literally beyond imagining. So you said that you were teaching or leading some students while you're education systems, but sir, when they come to leading a proper team of professionals at a at a global level or a global scale, what were the skills or large scale programs that you look for to managing that team more effectively or making them work at the same level?
Okay, Garima, that's a great question. So I think as in when you grow in your corporate life and you're managing a team, it's very important that you see this entire program management from end to end, right from its initiation to overall value delivery. Now, in terms of people impact or people focus, and I think that is also where this question is coming from. uh, building trust is the key element of managing any large program. So there is a saying that people buy into their leader first and then their shared vision. That means whosoever is the team member, they have to build trust in their leader first. Not have to, but they build their trust in that leader, and then whatever they are asking to do, maybe it's part of the overall strategic thinking. So it's very important to build that trust, and that trust building happens right from the stage of recruitment. Right. So whenever you are interacting with different people who are applying for jobs, you establish a rapport, and if they get selected, you have to be very much part or very much in touch with them to keep that relationship form till the time they join. As a leader, even if someone is joining right out of the college, or if someone was joining out of the college from when I was leading that entire team, it was very important for me to have that one-on-one interaction with them. And the purpose for that was aligning them with the overall bigger picture. And this bigger picture, I'm hoping that this will be a recurring theme that you'll keep hearing from me whenever I'm telling you, because again, that is related to significance, which is my dormant trait. Now, if you work towards that bigger picture, and I think you keep working towards that, rest everything keeps falling in place. So aligning them with that bigger picture, telling them whatever work they will do going forward, this is how it will impact the overall organizational objective. That is the key. Moving on to the next one, managing a team of 86. I think I have been quite lucky because through and throughout, at least in my stint with KPMG, I was the 20th member when KPMG Global Services started. So I have seen the entire team growing in front of me. I have been the one who has worked on several pilots. So I knew the trade in and out. So I was able to grow organically. I had a very clear view what the organization wants at the top, what are the different moving parts. Now, to manifest that in the understanding of the team members, that's where the regular interaction comes into the picture, but not as a boss. Sorry for using the double quotes, but I think boss is a very negative term. But the focus is on being a servant leader, or being what do you call a coach of sorts. So keep aligning with them on a regular basis, having a pyramid in place wherein your second in command is in total sync with you and their second in command is in total sync with them. That is very important. That governance is pretty important. But again, it's an open door policy that we followed at KPMG and other organizations also. And that is something that I see happening in most of the organizations today, wherein, leaders find it very useful to interact even if someone is joining them from the college. So all in all, empowering them has helped me in managing such a large team. Trust me, there are people who are managing teams in hundreds and thousands. All of that is possible because of having a proper plan, a proper pyramid. But at most important point, having those interactions happening with the folks who are working, even if they're just joining us right out of the college. I hope that helps you and everyone gain some bit of, you can say, knowledge from whatever I told about.
Yes, sir. Very much. It was very in and out, and very open discussion about the team building. So you were talking about the bigger picture, that the team was working for the common goal for the organization. But sir, when it comes to the cross-functional teams, like from different departments or the different areas, what were the strategies you follow to make them work for the common goal or for the organization?
Okay, that's a very good question, Garima. So let me give you some context. The core capabilities of the team that I was managing. So the core capabilities that the team members had revolved around business research and analysis, data analytics, key account management, sector development, knowledge management, and consulting support. So when I say key account management, basically these are the top 70 accounts of KPMG, overall accounting for about roughly 4 billion in overall revenues. And we were providing support in terms of identifying certain opportunities where KPMG can go and pitch their own services. Now, all of that is fine, but different people had different skill sets and everyone was working in silos. So the first thing we had to focus on was to break down those silos. right? So there were certain knowledge managers who were working with global sector heads at that point in time. There were certain business researchers who were also working with global sector heads. Now imagine a place for getting a single deliverable or an output, or completing one project. The same senior person who has more than 25 years of experience has to go to multiple people on different calls. Changed that completely. So that alignment hammered within the team, wherein each and every team member was made aware that, okay, what is the other capability doing, how they work, what kind of deliverables they have. Then there were certain brainstorming sessions that were literally forced upon them to identify if there is a possibility of having any kind of integrated project or deliverables to break those silos. So that was the key over there. Now, this particular culture of working together, obviously, at that point in time, I came from the background of business research and analysis. So generally, the feeling that the team members had, hey, you know what? This is the guy who's from business research and analysis. He's going to favor his own people who are also business researchers and know data analytics. I had to change that perception. How did I do that? Making those cultural changes, having those regular interactions or team engagement with the wider team in one go. It didn't happen overnight. It took me complete 1 year to change that perception. But everyone, once they started trusting me, they knew that, hey, you know what? He is not favoring anyone. His main aim is on achieving the organizational objective and helping us grow. So that's where, driving the culture from the top becomes very important. The other thing was favoring collaboration, making collaboration based goals as part of their goal sheet. And while we are evaluating their performance became very important. Doing a 360-degree feedback that, for me, for example, if my senior was collating feedback for me, my juniors used to provide feedback, my peers, my seniors, my users, my clients all used to provide feedback. So that 360-degree feedback also helped in getting certain inputs and then discussing with the person, okay, these are some of the areas that you're excelling. These are some of the areas you can focus on. The other thing was creating an environment of experimentation, which is very important, which means you have to help out the team members in letting them know it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to try something new. At max, what will happen? The project will bomb. That's okay. We are doing thousands of projects in a year. Even if 2 or 3 projects bomb, that's totally fine. But what it will be helping you in is gaining some experience. Now, that experience can be leveraged on certain other projects. To give you a small example, the likes of Steve Jobs, like and we keep hearing such big names. They have thousands of failures behind them, but what they have carried forward with them are the lessons from the failures that are there. If you read their autobiography, you will get to know certain failures that they were part of, but that never comes into light in any of the LinkedIn posts. What we get to see is Mac, iPhone, nothing in between. There were multiple projects that bombed for Steve Jobs or Apple, but we remember Steve Jobs for coming up with certain innovative products along with his team, iPhone, iPod, etc., so on and so forth. So these failures are something that teach a very valuable lesson. To empower everyone, you have to tell them, hey, it's okay if you bomb, that's okay. I'm here to catch you. So don't worry, just experiment. So that was something which was very important.
So that was very inspiring and very important thing to learn. Keep failing, but keep moving forward also. Don't stop. So, as you were talking about your journey or your leadership skills, but sir, as and in the start you said you were starting your own company or your own setup. But when it comes to the customers or the sales, what are the main changes you see at your first day when you start in your analytics or analyzing the company or the customers? And nowadays, what the changes you see in the customers' behavior or the customers or market you are interacting with?
Uh, I think that's a very good question, Garima. This in itself can take a session that can be broken down to 20 plus hours, to be very honest. But let me get my thoughts together. Uh, okay, now in sales enablement, what happens is, Garima, that it's a B2B sales kind of an environment wherein KPMG has to pitch in for their consulting services. There was a time wherein KPMG and the other big fours were going to the market and saying, hey, you know what? We are offering audit, tax, and advisory services. And the company used to say, okay, you can help us over here and there and etc. To give you a more relatable example, Airtel used to sell SIM cards. But now, if you ask the CEO of Airtel, I don't know who the CEO is right now. Hopeful that the students who are there on the call are better aware of that. But they will say that they are into technology. They are a technology company. They have broadened their scope. They will never ever say that we provide mobile operations or we are a telecom operator. Yes, the industry is the same, but they will never say this. They are a technology company, and so is the case for certain other telecom providers. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to broaden the overall value proposition. No longer the customer is saying that, hey, you know what, we want so and so consulting service. Can you help us out? What they're looking for is a partner who can help them in solving their own challenges, right? Now, and that challenge is something anyone and everyone can provide. The differentiation mostly comes from the trust building process, which is having those relationships with the end client. Now, from a client perspective, it's not only the CXOs, there are multiple people who are involved in the sales journey. You have to build trust with them first for them to make hear you. Right. And after that, you pitch in your solution or service, whatever you want to do. So that trust building is very important. Gone are the days when the RFPs or requests for proposals or requests for quotations used to be there, and we used to prepare certain reports in responding to those RFPs and quotations. And then there was a committee who used to evaluate who is providing the most in the least amount of dollar value. Gone are those days. It all starts from relationship building, and that's where this overall sales enablement is heading towards. Business research plays a very important role. Rather than saying we can solve all your problems, if a salesperson is saying to the CXO, hey, you know what, we do understand that your costs have increased by 2.3 percentage points over the last 3 years. These are the major levers. Here is what we have been doing with other clients in the same sector. And we are in a position to help you out at 1/3 of the overall cost of what you're bearing right now. I think that's a very powerful pitch in itself, and they will be more than willing to listen to you to come up with a solution, and the negotiations can happen. But if someone can build that relationship, tell them can pinpoint the problem and tell them the way forward, I think that's the golden rule everyone is trying to apply to any of the sales conversation happening with any kind of a B2B scenario, especially in case of professional services.
So that was very point to point answer you. And uh, the answer you have given was outstanding and enriching. So, but you were talking about the B2B sales, B2B changes that is happening in nowadays in the corporation. But what about the landscape of the sales intelligence and the customer success evolved over the last decades, in your view?
Okay, how it has evolved. So one is obviously customers are no longer looking for support providers or service providers. They are looking for partners whom they can trust. Now, think it from the perspective of a CEO who's leading the entire company. He has to face pressure from the overall shareholders, the board, the people who are working in their organization. He needs a partner. Now, if a salesperson can tell him that we are the partners with you, we are there for you right now in your bad times as well as good times, we got your back. I think that trust building is pretty important. So everyone is now looking for that trust building equation. In fact, most of the buyers in the professional services world are no longer looking for a fabulous solution. They're looking for the people whom they can trust, and that trust building is very important. So rather than just being a service provider that customers or clients are looking for those just service providers, that's not the case anymore. They are looking for partners. And once you become a partner or a trusted provider of certain services in an organization, it becomes very difficult for any other organization to come into that equation and take away your business. Why? Because that trust is there. There is a very interesting book, Neuroselling, as well as there is a new book, Neuroselling 2.0. I'm forgetting the author's name. Now, there are multiple references that have been made in that book which refer to this entire phenomena of trust building. People talk about rapport building, that the salesperson is going to the CEO's office and he sees his family picture. Hey, you have two children. I also have two children. We have something in common. Let's discuss business. That's not how the business is done anymore. You have to build that trust, and that trust building happens only when you tell your own story to them. Again, another book, starting with the why, from Simon Sinek. He talks about this why phenomenon again, and how it is built for a particular individual is based on your own values, your dominant traits. Once you start from that place, I think that's how the overall trust building happens, and that eventually leads to becoming a trust partner rather than a service provider. I hope, Garima, I was able to help you out with your answer.
Yes, definitely. So you were talking about the trust partner over here, but sir, when it comes to the role of shareholders, how do they lead the company to the success or in successful business transforming interventions are the goals they are looking for?
Okay, Garima, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I got the question over there.
Sure, sir. Then, what does the role of shareholders' engagement play in driving successful business transformation?
All right. Okay, let me take an example. I'm not sure whether Netflix is a publicly listed company or not. Pardon for that, but I'm just taking a hypothetical example. There was something known as Blockbuster, if someone has heard about it, back in the US, where oldies like me used to go, right, rent certain CDs and DVDs, bring it back to their home, watch it on their VCD or DVD players. Once they've watched it, they used to give them back to Blockbuster. Netflix also started with a similar kind of business model, and it was trying to compete with Blockbuster. But the CEO or the founder of Netflix saw that, internet speeds are increasing. It's no longer in kbps, it's in mbps, and now even in gbps. What if we can give video on demand to the customer, so that hassle of they going to the store, renting DVDs, coming back, and then again mailing it back or going physically to the store can be changed? That was the business model. He went to Blockbuster for a merger discussion, and Blockbuster people just laughed at him. Ha 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 ha, what funny thing it is. This cannot happen. This is not the business model of the future. The business model that we have of having a physical store will work completely going forward. What happened? Blockbuster filed bankruptcy. It was acquired, or the assets or the stores of Blockbuster were acquired by some other company. I'm forgetting the name. And now see where Netflix is. So the focus of the CEO was on the future model of services or the requirements of customers as per their changing lifestyles. Some of you might not have even heard about this Blockbuster. And most of you wouldn't have thought that, okay, Netflix also had certain brick and mortar stores, or they were just mailing the DVDs directly to the viewers. It was never ever a digital first model first, but they evolved. Now, the point that I'm trying to make over here is that visionary leader saw what are the changes happening with respect to the changing consumer preferences, and he was able to adopt the digital first model. Now, similarly, if a company who's publicly listed and they're changing that business model because of a digital transformation altogether, well, there are various levels of digital transformation, and I'm talking about is changing the entire business model. I think the shareholder value creation happens automatically, right? Because the CEO focused on that vision becoming a reality, right? Everyone worked towards it. They had to set up their own server farms, etc. They even had to set up their own, studio because Disney, etc., and Fox Entertainment just, pulled out their shows and movies from their platform. So they had to build their own studio altogether. So they were continuously evolving, but that happened because of one vision of how the future would look like. He was able to anticipate the end consumer needs, and the remaining was just an aftermath of that decision and working towards that goal. I hope that helps, Garima.
Certainly, sir. Sir, you were talking about the automation. So, what does the role of automation and digital interaction plays in enhancing sales strategy today?
Digital interaction and automation. Okay, I'll pick up these 2 points separately. Now, one about automation. Okay, let me give you an example. So, and by the way, folks, just to bring some, demarcation, I'm pretty sure everyone might be riding very high on the Gen AI, you can say bandwagon. So am I, guilty as charged. But automation became first. So at times it's called the first generation AI also, right? Now, what happens is automation works if there are set rules, set inputs, and a desired way of particular output. That Gen 1 AI works, that automation works. Now, because of this automation, my team, the entire team, the overall outlay of support that they could offer in one particular year was around 150,000 hours or 150,000 hours in a year at a very higher stage. Out of that, because of automation, per year, my team was able to save 20,000 hours. Can someone quickly, if that is allowed, quickly do a calculation of how much it is? So year on year, it was roughly around 10 to 12% of efficiency gains coming into the picture of performing certain low value add repetitive tasks through automation. Because of the automation tools that are there, whether it was make.com or UiPath at that point in time, we were able to save 20,000 hours, reinvest those 20,000 hours in doing, certain value added work that was actually required by our clients. So that was the power of automation, but that was only done for tasks and projects that were repetitive in nature. Power BI came into the picture. We added certain of the dashboards directly to Power BI, where we were creating manual dashboards in Excel formats or in PowerPoints. That totally went away. And we were able to save about 15 FTs worth of, or 15 employees worth of productivity and use it someplace else. And that also meant that for our sponsors, they didn't have to burgeon the overall bill for our salaries year on year. And I think the overall cost for the team remained stable, most likely, but it didn't, ever cross low single digits year on year. That was the power of automation. So doing away with those, repetitive tasks, automation helped over there. Now, the second question, Garima, I'm so sorry. What was the second question that you asked? What was the second theme? One was automation and the other one was?
Digital interaction.
Okay, digital interaction. I'm not sure what you exactly mean by digital interaction, but let me tell you one thing. Before COVID, whenever we used to get on a call with someone in the US, if someone is based out of London, Shanghai, or whatever, we were given one telephone line per manager. That was the code, and you used to share that code, right, with that person and whosoever wanted to join that call, and it was a telephonic or voice only collaboration that was happening, calling that was happening.
Okay.
COVID happened, we saw Zoom. Microsoft also woke up suddenly and they said, hey, you know what? Skype will not do. We haven't developed it. We need a new solution altogether. Teams came into the picture, and so did Google Meet, so on and so forth. Now, out of the habit, everyone saw that, though our ESG focus is also on reducing on carbon emissions, I think Zoom Teams call are way effective, efficient in each and every way. It saves time for everyone, right? So much so forth that the CXOs or the buyers of the consulting services would love to interact over a digital medium first and then only, proceed with certain discussions. While doing an analysis, I saw that the overall travel cost for KPMG has gone down drastically in double digit percentages over the past 5 years. Reason being, everyone is very comfortable with digital interaction wherever it happens. Right. So everyone is welcoming that digital interaction and video calls and boards, live brainstorming sessions, having whiteboards, etc. is the way going forward. I'm not sure if you have seen the latest movie, War of the Worlds, that was, I think, released on Netflix, Hotstar, or Amazon Prime. Either of these three platforms. Think it shows a very utopian world of sorts, wherein everything is happening digitally. It's a merger of all the digital interactions that are happening. Number one, all the drone related technologies that are there, and agentic AI that is being used by a particular CIA intelligence analyst to work out different theories, what's happening with the alien invasion, etc. So I think it's a very good watch, and I think it talks about the world that we are currently living in. So that level of physical interaction is going down. uh, I am a traditional person, to be very honest. So even if work from home was happening or hybrid was happening, I used to be there in office 4 out of 5 days. Why? Because I love interacting with my team members, and anyone could just come up to me. And I also felt that work can be done quite quickly if I'm there in office. Certain decisions can be made. I can interact with so and so many person. But the way forward, things are going to happen is that yes, this digital interaction, and you, particularly you folks, are technology natives. I had to learn Zoom team as a technology. Okay, because my technological exposure was the biggest one for me was coming off cable TV back in 1992. And right now I don't have a cable connection at my home. For you, you are living this digital technology day in, day out. So that's the way going forward, because tomorrow what will happen is you are the folks who will take these particular technologies ahead, and everyone will be very comfortable, super duper comfortable in using that digital interaction.
Yes, those are the quite examples for the digital interaction and automation and the culture fit and everything. Sir, you were talking about the culture innovation from traditional to digital. But sir, how does this culture innovation affect the organization on the sales basis?
Sorry, can you repeat that question, Garima? It's a fully loaded question. Sorry, it's not you, it's just me who's finding it difficult to comprehend the question.
No problem, sir. I'll repeat that question. So, like you were talking about the culture innovation from um, automation to digital interactions. Those were quite huge innovations. But how does this innovation helps or innovate or affect the organization, sales, and the customer interaction with them?
Okay, how does the culture of innovation and usage of digital technologies helps in sales? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think having the culture of innovation is need of an hour, not just for the sake of doing it, but I think the bigger objective or the overall, what do you call, the overall purpose of a particular organization right now is to be a partner with the clients. Now that can only happen if the costs are also aligned. I'll give you a small anecdote of about the cost. So I remember during COVID, everyone was working from home, and I was part of the task force within KPMG, which was responsible for coming up with solutions and strategies to help out our end clients in what do you call helping them out during this entire COVID transformation process. And there were certain folks from commercial side of things whom we were also supporting, and they come up with a very powerful insight that because of COVID and the cost pressures, and they are operating from home and the top line is not growing, the clients are expecting us to renegotiate on the existing contract. So if a contract was, let's say, for $250 million for next 3 years, they wanted us to do the same amount of work in $150 million or maybe less. I'm just taking hypothetical numbers. Now, everyone was facing the same pressure, be it KPMG or any other professional services organization. Now, it doesn't make sense for any professional services organization to reduce the overall value of the contract by two-thirds just to appease a particular client because of a difficult solution. Why? Because going forward, what happens once a condition approves, that becomes the new norm or the new base value. The clients automatically start expecting the same value to be there for the future contract, which is not a very good business decision. So we had to forego certain of our clients because we weren't able to meet that particular threshold. After 1.5 years, they came back to us. They slightly jacked up the overall value, which was closer to the original value of 250 million. But one thing was clear, that everyone was looking for efficiencies. Everyone was looking for value. Okay, if the base value cannot be reduced, what extra you can give us? And at the same time, KPMG or other professional services organizations had to think of ways of doing work efficiently, wherein if, let's say, 5,000 man hours were required for a particular project or an engagement in the past, KPMG was looking for ways to do that in 2,000 hours. Just an example. Or maybe there was an outsourcing strategy because the consultant's time in the US, let's say hypothetical figure, it is about $500 per hour. If they get the similar set of service because of digital transformation and digital enablement, it can be done for $100 if a particular consultant is working from KPMG India or KPMG Global Services. Just an example of cost arbitrage. Now, this value can only be enabled if the overall organization and the leadership buy-in is there, that we need to come up with certain innovative solutions who can help us improve efficiency, number one, keeping the same effectiveness, number two, but at a lower cost, or number three, delivering more value to our end customers. If either of these three things were happening at that point in time, I think that had to be done only when there was some kind of cultural enablement. And that cultural enablement or digital transformation can only happen when there is a buy-in from the top leadership, number one. The second thing is the roles within an organization undergo change based on the adoption of the digital technology. And the third bit is the most important one, is that taking everyone together. The employees had to buy into that particular culture. They had to be retrained. They had to be very comfortable with any kind of digital technology being used. So that was very important. I hope that helps.
Certainly, sir. Most certainly. Thank you for sharing that mindset with us. So, as you were saying that you were previously working with KPMC, but so what were the key lessons that you learned while launching new capabilities, new products, new launches for the enterprise?
New capabilities. I think again, this is one of those fully loaded questions, Garima, that can take up to multiple sessions. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Okay, let me, tell you. So how that all happened was, so again, if I talk from my own personal perspective, Garima, so when I joined KPMG, what was happening, I was the 20th member and we were working on multiple pilots. So pilot means that you work for free on a particular project, you share it with the end user, and depending on if they like it or not compared to the other incumbents, they will come back to you and say, hey, you know what, now we are willing to pay for your services going forward, and here is the contract for next 3 or 4 years. And these clients were no one else, but these were the KPMG network people only working in different KPMG member firms globally. But that internal cost transfer has to happen. Now, while all of that was happening, my focus was completely, and the folks who were working with me was completely on winning on whatever cost possible. I remember there was a time where, me and certain of my team members, again, think of very distant past. I'm talking about 2010, 2011. That's not the case anymore. We used to be in office for 72 hours at straight, right? There was a so-called medical room. It had two beds, and we were just taking turns to stay in that. But the whole idea was that we have to win a particular engagement from the KPMG member firms at any given cost. That was the motivation that was driving us, because we were able to align ourselves with the bigger picture of standing up KPMG Global Services, or at least the capability within KPMG Global Services. And that was the kick that we got, right? But that's not the dire situation that we are living in, and no one knew. Once everyone, the HR got to know, we got a notice, boss, what's happening? And we were given a 1 week just stay at home chutti of sorts, that you don't need to come to work. Luckily we won that, and I think that was the overall thought behind working on different engagements. Now, while all of this was happening organically, we were part of the same ecosystem, and we became student of the firm. So this particular concept of student of the firm means that there are multiple moving parts within a global organization, and the more you know about it, the better you are able to tweak your projects or deliverables in sync with the overall organizational objectives. So that knowledge that we were gaining helped us tremendously. The relationships that we were building, helped me tremendously in scaling new capabilities going forward. I'm not sure what. Okay, we are running short. Just last one anecdote on this. I remember I attended one of the workshops in the US, in New Jersey and New York. The chief marketing officer of US was there, and I was representing KPMG Global Services and Services way back in 2013, and telling them, boss, we do this, we do that. Now, there were two ladies who were named Catherine. One, Catherine, was part of my global team. And remember, that was a time when we didn't have Teams or Zoom. We were still using telephonic conversations to interact with each other, or chats on Skype, or emails were already there. Now, unfortunately, the Catherine who was part of my team didn't turn up. There was another Catherine who was part of that 30-member group. And I presumed, not assumed, presumed that she's the same Catherine, and she was driving a Mini Cooper. Because of my interest in cars, I just started interacting with her, and I introduced, hey, you know what, you might be knowing me or remembering from the so and so call happened. I'm Gaurav from KPMG Global Services. And she was making face like, who's this guy? Because I presumed I know this Catherine. She never ever interacted with me. But again, she was kind enough to have an interaction with me on the Mini Cooper, so on and so forth. And we just had a discussion over a couple of beers at that point in time. And that happened. 2 years down the line, she was scaling up the capability, right? But because of the accidental conversation or the relationship building process that I initiated with her, right? My boss, sorry, my leader, my program leader, the capability leader, the head of KGS were there on the same call. And she was the client from whom we had to get business for KGS. She wasn't interacting with them. She was interacting with me, because obviously there is a comfort level, there is a trust level. And I then apologize, Catherine, I really apologize. I thought you to be Catherine so and so, but you were so and so. She said, no worries, Gaurav, that's totally fine. I'm glad we interacted first. So I think that capability scale up was a piece of cake, and my leadership also had that trust in me, that because of the relationship building that Gaurav was able to do, he will be in a better position to manage the expectation of that sponsor or the stakeholder. So the lesson over here out of this particular anecdote is relationship building is very important, not networking only. Relationship building, networking plus having meaningful discussions and interactions with the folks within your network is quite important. And you never know which particular relationship helps you out in the overall scenario in this corporate life. I hope that helps.
Oh, certainly, sir. Talking to you was a magic and more and very educational experience. But sir, we have to end our conversation here because of the time, and we are running short on the time. Thank
Sorry
you for
for the verbosity, Garima. I really apologize because I think I took a lot of time in explaining certain things, coming up with certain thoughts. Totally on me.
no, sir. You don't have to apologize. That was very educational interaction. If you personally ask me, sir. Sir,
Oh, thank you.
now I will be handling over the conversation to Mr. Atar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On behalf of
Mr.
the
Dhyan.
entire team and all the
Ek minute,
participants.
Mr. Dhyan, do you have any question?
Yes, I have.
Please
So
go ahead.
this is a generic question. Gaurav,
Yeah, Dhyan.
when I was hearing you, I really felt KPMG in you.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I really felt KPMG in you.
Yeah, because I mean, 14 years, 9 months out of the total 17 years, 9 months has been with KPMG. So
You were in the same place where Dr. Deepak sits? Sector
I
135? No.
no. I think you might be talking about someone who's in KPMG India. I was part of KPMG Global Services.
KPMG Global Services. Okay.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, in between you took a change, you went to some other organization,
Mhm.
but then you were not able to adjust. Then again, you come back to KPMG, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now in KPMG, you are very comfortable, right? Because it matches with your ethos, it matches with your environment, it matches with your mindset, it matches with your the kind of culture you want to live in, and you feel very engaged with KPMG. What was that which brought you back to KPMG after you went to that organization?
Okay.
It was brief stint
Yeah,
of a year, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very valuable question, Dhyan. And though I haven't given many interviews, I think this might be something that someone can ask in any of the future interviews or interaction. So let me paint a picture. So I have been with KPMG in two stints. One was for 6 years, the other one was for roughly about 8 years, 9 months. In my first stint, what happened was that I was getting into this comfort factor that, hey, you know what? Everyone is changing jobs. I'm very comfortable in whatever I'm doing, but the pace of growth has slowed for me. Again, that was just a perception I had in mind because at that point in time, I was looking at growth only in terms of designation change and not in terms of experience or the variety of experience that I'm getting. And I said, hey, you know what? Let me just try and explore. So what happened was some of the consultants just reached out to me. They talked about the opportunity that so and so company, Teleperformance in that case, they are scaling up their capabilities in cybersecurity, so on and so forth. This particular team works for the CEO. This is the strategic and the market intelligence team who directly reports into the CEO. And Teleperformance at that point in time was a $4 billion enterprise. And I said, hey, you know what? I need to try this. Once I went over there, I think uh, the only challenge over there was that the timings were such that I had to interact with all of the English speaking countries and the representatives from those countries, which means that I had to start my day at 11 and that day was ending at around 11 in the night, 12 hours on a regular basis. Not a problem, but the challenge was I didn't like that particular thing. Now, having said that, after the first 2 months of my induction, I was super duper comfortable at Teleperformance. Why? Because while prior to joining to Teleperformance, I had done so much that whatever they threw at me, I was able to just do it like this.
Hmm.
I'm not boasting, but I think that happened very naturally. And
Obviously,
obviously,
it
the
happens.
MDs of different countries were
When you come from
interacting with me
difficult environment to easy environment, it happens.
relatively easy. Not
Hmm.
easy because the challenges were quite different, but my overall job role was such. I was again into that comfort factor, and then I also got married, and I said, "Boss, this is something that is not, going to continue for long. I need to go back to KPMG." Why? Because I heard one statement from Jack Ma, which was on the lines of that if you're working in an organization for 15 years, build on that knowledge, try to leverage that, right? If you're changing midway, you're starting afresh. So it's better to leverage the experience that you've already gained and keep building on it. This is something I don't see in the candidates that I'm interviewing nowadays, because who have the policy of changing the jobs every 2 years. So my suggestion that goes to those folks is, if they ask for feedback, is that stay in an organization for a longer duration to know tips and tricks, how to make things work, and just understand how an organization works, because the bigger projects don't happen overnight. You have to be knowledge, or you have to be student of the firm and learning about that particular organization, and only then you can contribute towards bigger projects. That helped me, but now again I was getting into a comfort zone and I wanted to start something of my own, and there are a couple of things that I'm currently working on. Hope one of those materializes.
So maybe if we talk next year or next to next year, you will be in KPMG.
I don't know, Dhyan, to be very honest. Never know. You never know.
Okay. See, I actually I was thinking when I was listening to you. KPMG is a relatively very stable organization. I know that organization inside out. I work with them very closely. Now, someone at your role who has prospects to becoming a partner, uh, is the timing right to have to severe the relationship and have your own startup? Because startup is dust. It dust on the road. It's very tough. First of all, you lose on your secure income, which comes every month. You lose on your status. You lose on your social, uh, what you call, esteem. And then you have to work very hard. Rewards may come, rewards may not come. All cost is yours. Profit is in the future. It's a very dusty road. Why now? Why not earlier? Why not later? Maybe you could have started a startup after, maybe when you would have achieved an age of 55 or 56 years. And anyway, you were to retire after 60 years.
Okay, Dhyan, that's a fully loaded question that you have asked me, but I think that very much depends on an individual, Dhyan. Yes, that risk is always there, but it totally depends on what values are driving a particular individual, right? If a person wants to be enterprising, he is not getting those kind of opportunities, he will look elsewhere. There's a saying that, भजन कीर्तन नहीं किया 40 तक, जब 60 के हो जाओगे तो भगवान में ध्यान कहाँ लगवा पाओगे? No pun intended, right? So that's the
No,
thing.
you
So
can
if
have
you're
fun. It's okay.
right, so if you are unable to, live your dream or try it out, so that tomorrow you don't have that particular thing that, you didn't try it, you should have tried it. That is something I don't want to be in a position in. Once I become so-called 60, risk definitely there. Profit will come down the road, yes, definitely there. But the break that I've taken, the focus that I have on my venture has helped me come back to that overall focus on generative AI, which I believe I wouldn't have been able to do while I was working. Right. So that is something which is also driving me. And going forward, this generative AI is going to drive all the future discussions. I have been able to create a bot that I had to hire one person in the past to do all the business research and industry analysis. Just one agent, saving a cost of $36,000 per annum at an expense of $200. I think that in itself is something that talks about. So there is a great opportunity out there. It just it depends on an individual, that how they're seeing the overall market scenario, what view they have of the future things that will happen. And if they're working according to it, whether it bombs or becomes a success, so be it. Live with it. You're experimenting on something. The failure happens. It'll give you a lesson for the next challenge that you have in your life. That's the way
See,
I look at it. Yeah.
what makes me afraid is you are an expert on OpenAI, you're an expert on Gemini.
I'm not. By the way, Dhyan, sorry to interrupt. I'm not an expert on OpenAI. I'm just a senior learner. That's it.
Okay, you are a senior learner in Gemini, you are a learner on cloud. and
I
you
don't
are
know
the
anything about cloud except for there is a Google Drive and OneDrive. Trust
okay,
me.
and you're good at AI integrations, right? So my last question to you is, पहले ही बता दो भैया क्या डिसरप्शन लेकर आ रहे हो मार्केट में ताकि हम तैयारी कर लें। ओला के आने के बाद पता लगेगा ट्रैवल एजेंट ही बंद हो गया।
Now, Dan, since I'm not sure how we are doing on time. Garima, please
No,
stop
no,
me
we
wherever.
are on time, don't worry.
Okay. Now, I think this Gen AI disruption, let me give you a small example since you have brought up Uber. So Google Assistant, when they were, launching its assistant-based capabilities, that it was able to make bookings. You just had to tell him, Google, can you just book a cab for me on so and so date from so and so to so and so place. The assistant itself was able to make calls to the vendors, do all the bookings for the planes, etc., the restaurants, etc. And this was the demo that they showed about a couple of years ago. Now, what will happen going forward is Ubers and the Teslas of the world or Netflix of the world, what will happen is they will just step down a notch, wherein the primary interaction service will be a Gen AI assistant. And you will just talk to that particular assistant, whether that assistant is based on OpenAI, Google Assistant, Grok, Meta AI, or whatsoever. And an Uber-like company will just become a commodity provider. Right now, it has valuations in multiple. Why? Because the primary interaction point for a particular or the touch point for the customer will be that assistant. Now, will Uber like to be become will like to become a commodity provider in the bigger scheme of things? I don't think so. So it's quite possible that in with the flux of time, Uber might come up with their own Gen AI based platform so that it remains competitive in the market where there is a risk they face from the likes of Google's, Meta's, so on, OpenAI, DeepSeek, or whatever platform there is, who can just come up with one agent where Uber just becomes a level below a commodity provider of services. I hope I was able to bring in that perspective since you talked about Uber, that what is the overall shift that we are seeing in the
No, no.
market, wherein the existing tech companies, very much possible they overall just become a level down in the overall scheme of things, and the Gen AI assistant takes precedence and consumer is interacting just with this Gen AI assistant and not with Uber anymore.
And the company which does that, name of that CEO will be Gaurav Kaila.
Trust me, I'm not sure if you are following OpenAI, the CEO of OpenAI. He has a dream, not a dream. Right now, we're in Gen AI, right? Generative AI is nothing. The next one will be general intelligence AI, wherein the intelligence will be able to think like humans. Right now, they have to take inputs from us. Obviously, based on certain rules, they can take certain decisions. But the logic over there is a whole company can be run by one person. I know a few people who weren't willing to hire an executive assistant for themselves. They created 3 GenAI assistants, and they are the ones who's taking care of each and everything for that particular individual right now. He was able to save about 25 lakhs in overall salary, and he just had to spend about $200. So that is the power we are seeing. So it's very important to, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there might be certain, I know for a fact that I was having a discussion with Deshita and Mukta earlier, and they said there is someone who's coming in to talk more about Gen AI. I think there will be more important things to discuss with them, what the future holds, and you can also utilize that particular time to learn more about what is the disruption that is being caused by Gen AI. But I think it's a very good disruption that is happening, so that we are able to focus on our life, quality of life, and not so much on work. The example that I gave, 72 hours straight, boss, that will be written in the history books, not anymore.
Okay.
That's very inspiring, Gaurav.
Thank you,
And
Ajay
the
sir.
future,
Coming from you.
future, future appears to be coming in here now. And it is now what role DSPs are students can play in some kind of projects or internships or something like that to make this dream happen? Is there
He
any
doesn't need
scope
them,
for
na.
them?
Singh Saab, he doesn't need them. उसके पास
No,
जाने
no,
आई
no,
है.
no, no, no. That is the outcome for people to hire them. Na? Some people would be actually making those things. It is only change of skills that is currently being hired for, and the skills for the future things to be made. It is not that people would not be required. People would be required for making different things. What they are doing now is not there to be hired for.
Oh, oh, absolutely. So Ajay sir, have been thinking on these lines, and I had another session in one of the colleges for MBA students, and I think this question also came up what students can do. So I think right now, number one, develop your base, right? That's pretty important. Gen AI or driving any Gen AI related initiative will not happen till the time you have mastered the basics or the foundations, right? Gen AI is being used in data analytics. Great. But who will check the work coming in from Gen AI? There was a news wherein, a Gen AI assistant deleted the entire data of the organization altogether. There have been instances like that, but there needs to be someone who can check the work that is being done by Gen AI to guide them, to see their work, to bring multiple use cases together. I think that's where the role of humans will be, right? To start with, yes, focusing on foundations, whatever subjects that you're learning is very important. Try to incorporate the usage of Gen AI platforms as much as possible in your daily workings. I'm not saying get the assignment done through Gen AI. By no means I'm saying that. But yes, you can always seek help of a perplexity or anything to get the source documents because it's very important to master that process. At the same time, keep learning about these particular platforms that are already available and freely available. Gemini Pro, I think it's freely available for students also. Perplexity, oh, chat GPT, so on, so forth. Keep exploring that. And there are multiple courses that are available on LinkedIn Learning and certain videos on YouTube also. So being technology native, you already are, and you will be very comfortable in using that. It's the oldies like me who have to learn about creating a prompt. Can you create a report of so and so nature? I have to think from that lens. To you guys, it comes very naturally because if I have to hire someone in the market, the things that I'm looking on while evaluating a candidature is communication, the overall strategic thinking, problem solving acumen, right? The level of relationship building a person can do, the initiatives that are taken by a particular person in the market. These are things I usually focus on. And obviously, Gen AI literacy is something that comes naturally, but try to use them from a business case perspective. So that's number one. Now, in terms of what the roles will be like, don't worry about it. So whenever, someone from the college, at least I can talk from KPMG's perspective is there is a dedicated bootcamp session that happens for the folks who are joining us from MBA. It's a 3-month program wherein they are working on live projects as well as pilot projects and they are being trained on different aspects. Those kind of trainings will be part of any induction program for any of the large organization or in fact mid-size organizations also. That has been the trend that I've been observing. So focusing on that, I think Gen AI literacy is the way going forward. You need to become at least an expert in using those Gen AI technologies. Ajay sir, I hope that answers the question to a
Yes,
certain
yes, yes.
extent. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it is time also. We have exceeded the time limit. So thank you very much, Gaurav, for making it very lively kind of session and very inspiring for the young generation that what they have to look for in the future. Because if they continue to think the way previous generations have been thinking, they will not lead to the place where they are supposed to be. So they have to mend their ways, embrace the technology, embrace the disruptive, what Dhyan said, the disruptive innovations which are taking place, and lead that from the front. So thank you very much, Gaurav, for that. Thank you,
Thank
Dhyan,
you.
also.
Thank
Garima,
you,
also.
Ajay sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Truly honored.
Atul, you want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Ah,
On behalf of the entire team and all of the participants, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Gaurav Kaila sir for taking out the priceless and valuable time to enlighten us today, sir. Your insights and experience have truly inspired and enriched us. It always a privilege to learn from someone of your caliber, and your words have left a lasting impression on our minds. A special thanks to our gracious moderator, Mrs. Garima Gupta, ma'am, for seamlessly steering this season and ensuring such an engaging interaction. Gaurav sir, we as a students eagerly looking forward to meet you personally. I am truly excited and looking forward to interact with you on the 8th of August.
Great. Thank you, Atul. Thank you, everyone.
So you're coming
Hope
to
to
campus
connect with you
on
soon.
it, Gaurav?
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope so. I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. So Garima, you are happy now?
Yes.
You like the session today, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everyone. Bye.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.